That was super fun. Okay, I'm going to spotlight myself here in Zoom so I can tell you a story. All right. Where is my spotlight? Forgive me. Here we go. Great. Okay, so I want to tell you a story about these book covers. This is what the cover is today, but this isn't how it started. It started like this. And the advice that my coach gave me was, this looks boring in corporate, and you are not boring in corporate. And I thought, you know what? You're right. I had had this for a year, and I was all ready to go with this book, and I was doing other stuff. But then I thought, you know, this isn't the right cover for me. I really need something that expresses how to earn attention, how to demand attention. And so I redesigned it to this, which is super fun. I love this cover. Lots of people who know me love this cover, but people who don't know me get scared of this cover because I might be fun and interactive, kind of clowny, but people have a phobia of clowns. And when people are looking at a book in a bookstore, what I learned is that if you have your own photo on the cover, it's for one of two reasons. It's either because you're famous enough that your photo will sell more books. Tony Robbins, Seth Godin, you know, big heavy hitter. And I'm not a heavy hitter yet. The other reason people put their photo on a book is because they care more about themselves than about the reader. And I realized people would be looking at this and think, this is a book about him marketing himself. It's not a book about me, the reader, and how I market myself. And so I went and back to the drawing board, and I got this book covered out. And I'm glad I did. I think I like it. Out of the three, which do you think is best? Go ahead and type a number 1 in the chat box if you really wanted to see this one. You could be totally honest here. Type a number 2 in the chat box if you think that this had potential that I left aside, and type a number 3 in the chat box if you think I made the right decision. Great. Ah, seems to be unanimous. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. Awesome. Okay, now I'd like to read you the table of contents. Before I do this, I need to show you why, what this did when I slipped aside. This change pushed back my timeline. And my timelines were, I thought everybody was going to have a copy of this book well in advance of launch day. But unfortunately, it pushed things back. And I thought nobody was going to have their book by today. But I'll share with you what happened to make it happen. So this is the proof copy. It's the first version I put into Amazon. And it had a massive error. If you look closely, I want you to see these 3 words at the top of this endorsement: personal branding literature. You see that? Let me zoom in a little bit so that you can see that better. Personal branding literature. You see that? This is in the proof copy. There's like no spaces in between. In the final copy, there are spaces there. It turned out that the problem had to do with open type fonts. InDesign wasn't, it gets really geeky. The fonts were all screwed up. And so I said, oh my gosh, stop the presses. This was literally a stop the presses moment. And I said, I have to update InDesign. And so it took me 3 hours in the middle of the night. I got it uploaded. And when I did, I saw this loophole in Amazon where instead of having it for pre-order, so it was available today, I could make the print version live immediately and use Amazon Prime to send the book as gifts to the launch team. And so that's what I did. Americans got it first. So a lot of the Americans who were on the launch team already have their books. New Zealanders started getting it yesterday, and Australians have got it. Some of them got it earlier in the week, and some are getting next week. So it's kind of all over the place. So for those of you who have already gotten your books and already started posting, thanks you. And for those of you who haven't, I'd like to read you the table of contents. I'd actually like some volunteers to read the table of contents. Do I have any volunteers who could read? I need 4 volunteers. Can I see a show of hands? Who would be a reader today? Jonathan, I've got 1. Wendy, I've got 2. Aaron, I've got 3. I need 1 more volunteer.
I have to go get my book. I'll be right back.
Oh, I'm going to make it easy for you. But yeah, get your book.
I get it.
Fourth volunteer, anybody? Renee is the fourth volunteer. Hooray. Thank you, Renee. Okay, spotlight myself again. And Jonathan, you can either, oh, I'm still on spotlight. Great. Jonathan, you can either read out of your book or you can read from right here over my shoulder.
Oh, infinite.
Yeah, what I'd like you to do, sorry about the infinity mode. What I'd like you to do is to read Cornerstone 1 and then read the titles of the first 4 chapters. And then Wendy will take over. Sound good?
Absolutely. All right,
Great.
Caelan. And by the way, thank you. This is amazing. I haven't read it yet, but I got a chance to flip through it, and I'm like, super awesome. It's, by the way, it's the perfect length to take on an airplane because I can read it in my flight to New York next week.
Great.
So Cornerstone 1, positioning. Chapter 1, your personal statement. Chapter 2, mission-based messaging. Chapter 3, sharing customer stories. And Chapter 4, personal brand versus business brand.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. Wendy, would you like to take over and read Cornerstone 2 and the next 4 chapters?
Yes, absolutely. Chapter 5, the step 4 marketing cycle. Chapter 6, pushing versus pulling. Chapter 7, free samples whet the appetite. And Chapter 8, calling to action.
Awesome. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that. Aaron, did you get your copy of the book?
I do. I got it.
Great. Read Cornerstone 3 and the next 4 chapter titles, please.
Cornerstone 3, Chapter 9, research competition for shortcuts. Chapter 10, sell to small target audiences. Chapter 11, find the buying trigger. And Chapter 12, make your marketing an adventure.
Awesome. Thank you, Aaron. Renee, let's bring it home. Could you please read the 4th Cornerstone and 4 chapter titles?
Cornerstone 4, Systems. Chapter 13, Plan a Publishing Calendar. Chapter 14, Show Off Your Showroom. Chapter 15, Steps on a Value Ladder. And Chapter 16, Statistics for Success.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's give a round of applause to our readers. Thank you, readers. Well done. So the reason that I wrote this book is because I wanted to help people go through these 4 levels of platforms. Anyone with something to say and something to sell has a platform. Now you start with just something to say. You start on a soapbox. But then when you start charging for what you say, that's when it becomes a showroom. And your marketing focuses on how people can buy from you. But eventually, you exhaust the space in a showroom. A showroom has a ceiling. And so you need to get on the stage and go find other people's audiences. And then finally, the 4th level of a platform is the stadium, where the moves you make move the market. Now, every platform has the same 4 cornerstones: your positioning, your profit, your strategy, and your systems. And you need all 4 of these 4 cornerstones to have a solid platform. If any one of these platforms is weak, then your platform's always going to be leaning in that direction. And so I'd like to know, which cornerstone do you find yourself working on the most? Go ahead and type it in the chat box. Is it positioning? Is it your profit? Write one of these 4 cornerstones in the chat box and let me know which one you struggle with the most. Got some profit problems, some systems problems. A couple of cornerstones. I find that a lot too. Yeah. Yeah, great. Well, I want you to take note of which one you identified that you needed the most to work with, because that's the section of the book that you should focus on. This book isn't really a read it all the way through in order kind of thing. It's much more like a choose your own adventure. If you know that you need to work on profit, go read the profit chapters. If you want to work on positioning, read the positioning chapters. If you want to read the whole book, that's great. But if you want to really work on your platform, reread the chapters in the cornerstone where you know you need the most work. Now, I'm going to share with you a special guest. I'm going to ask Cherie Alexander to come up onto the stage. Cherie wrote the foreword to this book. I'm going to give you a quick introduction, Cherie. Cherie helps knowledgeable, quality-focused professionals add more value to the marketplace, build stronger relationships, and grow their business. As a communication strategist and an influence coach, she helps people discover the clarity and skills they need to craft, share, and scale the message they envision. That's why I asked her to write the foreword to this book. The words in this book were technically a collaboration between the two of us. I wrote 184 pages and she wrote 2. And you can read her wonderful introduction to the book later, but for now, let's all listen to her for a few minutes. Cherie, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Caelan. Thank you, everybody, for attending such a fun virtual party, because it certainly feels like that. Not many people can pull this type of thing off, and you're doing it smoothly and seamlessly. So thank you for the entertainment as well as the information. And you know what? I just think that it really speaks to you, Caelan, as a, I really don't like the term marketing guru, but gosh darn it, you just might be one, my friend. Always staying up to date in regards to marketing. But what I really appreciate and admire most, and what is put into the pages of this book, is the marketing experience of a true coach and consultant. And as Caelan and I have talked and collaborated about the book, a phrase that continues to come to mind is choose your own adventure, because truly marketing should be that, especially for entrepreneurs. I think with so much of the marketplace filling our screens and our feeds with scripts and specific templates and follow this exact formula, it really sucks out the fun and the personality of the entrepreneur who has something to say, who wants their unique voice out in the marketplace. And like you just demonstrated by showing the cornerstones and pointing out, where do you feel weakest? Where do you want to, work out some marketing muscles? Choose that section, choose your own adventure, because when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to sharing your unique brand, your personal brand or your business brand, it's got to be you. And this book really draws out from the inside out instead of going from the outside in, trying to be somebody else. In particular, I will say I am a geek and a nerd for systems and strategy. So I love that this book has the how to find your unique voice, but also, okay, now let's talk about the real world and how it looks to systematize this, because with our algorithmic prone, marketplace, there is so much about be consistent, get stuff out there. And so in order to stay on top of things, you need solid systems. I appreciate that that's highlighted in here, and so happy that you've gathered together such a great group. And I am very honored to have written the foreword. And you guys, if you haven't yet, write those reviews on Amazon. I don't know how much you know about marketing books, but those reviews on Amazon make a really big difference for that particular algorithm. And also just, there was one other thing. Oh, I don't know if Caelan's going to mention this, but I'm going to mention it anyway. If you know of a podcast that would appreciate a really great speaker on the subject of marketing with somebody that has an amazing personal life and business life background, send those podcasts over to Caelan, because he's getting out there sharing the message. I've heard a few, and I'm I've seen a lot of marketing books come and go, and this one I find has those unique elements that I really appreciate. So thanks for letting me share a few words. Happy to kind of get up on my own soapbox to talk about you.
Great. I appreciate that, Cherie. Thank you so much. Your support and your kind words and your insight, I think was the perfect way to open this book. Now, before we move on, we are going to talk about podcasts in just a little bit, as well as reviews and all the fun stuff. But first, I'd like you to share with everyone here a little bit about your work and what you do.
Sure. So I am a communication coach and influence strategist. When you hear the term communication coach, most people know what that means. You know, if you're an executive or a leader or manager of any type, you want to pay attention to how you are presenting yourself out in the world and how you are perceived, and acknowledge the things that you do have control over and areas in which you could, be more mindful in your communication or more intentional, especially with a business message, which leads me to the second part, which is influence strategist. And that's the part where most people are like, I don't know if I know what that is. So essentially taking the exact same principles of what it means to be an influential individual and applying that to your business branding and messaging. Again, as a coach consultant, as myself, you have to know the full spectrum of options out in the world of how to communicate. We have everything from video, animation, audio, meaning podcasts and radio and things. We've got webinars like this, live video, posts. I mean, I can go on and on, all the things. And so my role is to help my clients choose the right methodologies that fit to their unique DNA makeup. So that way, as their business scales, their voice in the business still feels like them, that they still feel connected and have a personal relationship with their clients through onboarding processes, through marketing, sales, hiring people. It's basically my job is to understand somebody's voice and then amplify it up to where they can make the impact that they're wanting to seek.
That's great. Thank you, Cherie. And that was why we started working together, because I feel like my voice has definitely been amplified by working with
I'm happy to hear that.
You have given us this really good broad strokes of the different things that you do to help. If you were to encapsulate this down into a personal statement, the short, snappy statement, how do you introduce yourself in one sentence?
I help people. Oh goodness, there's like 5. Put me on the spot. So I would say I help people who have something worth saying be heard more. Let's say, what's the word? Energetically. I don't think that's quite right, but sorry, put on the spot. I was like, oh no, is it speaking? Yeah. Is it coaching? Is it consulting?
Put you on the spot there because I wanted
to thing to know. I believe it's chapter 1 or 2 covers that in the book. I think I just found what I need to reread. Yeah. Thank you.
Chapter 1 has a personal statement, and I appreciate you doing the first draft here with us live. I'd like to ask everybody to write a first draft of your personal statement in the chat box. So go ahead and open up the chat box. I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds and share with us your personal statement. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just write it in right now. Who are you and what do you do? Nice. Well done, everyone. Oof, these are tight. I like these. These are really great. Eric, send that to everyone because that's really great. Excellent. Well done, everyone. I appreciate you all sharing in here. And if you want to work on this in the future, chapter 1, your personal statement is going to be a great way to do it. And so I'm going to start putting some links in the chat box because we're going to do some interactive exercises. This first one is for your free ebook. thank you for attending today. This is your reward. You can go ahead and click on these and save them to your hard drive. If you're watching this on the replay, I'm going to take this link out because this is just for the people who are live. And what I want you to do with this ebook is to read it, but I'd also like you to leave a review on Amazon. Okay. So there's a few different things that we're going to do here. Now, some of you have already written a review. You've either posted it on Amazon or you've posted it on the endorsements page. If you're looking for inspiration about what should I write, you can scroll through this link in the chat box to see what others have written. And if you gave an endorsement, you can copy paste when we go to Amazon. So here in the chat box are the instructions I'd like you to take. I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes and I'm going to juggle so that there's a little break. What I'd like you to do is to go to Amazon, search for marketing yourself. And you might have to search for marketing yourself book. You might have to search for marketing yourself Caelan Huntress. Spend some time searching for it so that it tells the algorithm, hey, people are looking for this. If you want, this last step is optional. You can purchase an ebook to make a verified review. It's a great way to support my work. And since you have an ebook, it would be kind of an equal exchange. But if you just want to do an unverified review, it would take some time to do that. Maybe we shouldn't do that in this call anyway. So however you want to do it, I'd like you to leave a review. And I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes and play some music. Sorry about that. Thirty seconds left. Thank you, everyone. How was that? Yeah, it was good. Great, great. Now, don't forget to follow me on the author page. There's that little yellow button that says follow. Thank you, Dane. Great idea. Excellent. Well done, everyone. Great. Okay, so now I have something else fun to share. I'm going to put a link in here for the media kit. Oh, thank you, Jess. I'm glad you like the entertainment. I was thinking about bringing out my guitar and doing a, a Chili Pepper solo, but I thought, I've got enough going on. I don't also want to deal with getting my sound right. So next time there will be a bit of an open mic as well. All right. So the link that I've just put in the chat box, I'm showing it over my shoulder here in Zoom, is the media kit. And this media kit has a lot of information that you can use to create social posts on the Marketing Yourself book hashtag. Now, there is something specific you need to know about this hashtag. So if you could come back to Zoom real quickly, I want to share with you this important little note about the Marketing Yourself book hashtag, not that one. This one, this hashtag. There's two things I'd like you to know about this hashtag. And the first is capital letters are great. MYB makes it really stick out. But when you're posting about it, it really helps to start with the Marketing Yourself book. So if you ever make a social post about this book, the hashtag Marketing Yourself book, it just makes it a very easy way to write the post. But I can make it even easier for you, because in the media kit, you scroll down just a little bit, I've got swipe content. The book description is right here, and you can copy paste anything here, but that's on the left column. On the right column, I've got some posts that you can just copy paste. There's links in here, there's the hashtag, so you can feel free to use any of these posts. There's also a bunch of images. I've got photography. This is for, like the media and podcasters, but there's also this Dropbox folder. And I want to share with you what's in the Dropbox folder in case you'd like to use it. I've got a bunch of endorsement images from everybody who gave me an endorsement, and I've got a bunch of graphics. And in this graphics folder is a bunch of pre-designed, you're the first people to see this ever, just me and my team have been working with this. And we designed a whole bunch of these. They haven't even gotten out into the public yet. So if you would like to use any of these in making your own social media posts, then feel free. Now I'm going to give you another link in chat. It's a series of links, actually. We're going to do another juggle break. And what I'd like you to do is to click on these links in chat. And clicking on these links will bring you to the hashtag on a bunch of different social platforms. There's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's LinkedIn, there's YouTube, and there's Instagram. The two ways that you can help is either like all the posts on here or post on here. So I'm going to do another juggle break. I'm going to spend 3 minutes juggling while we listen to some music. Please make some posts, do some activity. And I will see you again in 3 minutes. 30 more seconds. Thank you, everyone, for spending some time supporting this book on the social hashtag. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, this doesn't have to stop today. This weekend, anytime you see somebody post on the hashtag, give it a like. Anytime you see some activity, just click on the hashtag and go through and like all the posts on there, because this weekend, all the social media algorithms are going to be paying attention. And when they see activity on posts on this hashtag, they're going to boost it and show it to more people. Some things that you can do include just clicking on the hashtag and like all the posts in a list. Just boom, 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 like them all. So you're going to be liking each other's posts and elevating your own social media cred. You can leave a comment just with an emoji, a little flame, a little celebration. You can share or retweet the posts, and just like as many as you can. I really appreciate all of you spending this time with me to learn about how to support this book. And now I'd like to know, what questions do you have for me? I'd like to open the floor to Q&A. Go ahead and type some questions in the chat box. You can ask me about this launch. You can ask me about the book. You can ask me about marketing in general. And while you're thinking about this question, I'm going to share with you one more thing on the media kit. So here on the media kit, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's this whole big section about booking me on a podcast. I'm going on a podcast tour from the 15th of August to the 25th of November. So starting next week, I'm doing a lot of podcasts. I just had the first one go out today on Scott A. McMillan's Entrepreneur to Author podcast. Oops, sorry about infinity mode. And that was really great. It's on the hashtag. A lot of you probably just saw it because I made the post this morning. But the links that I'm putting in the chat box right now are for the interview kit. It's a Google Doc that I put together that shares everything a podcaster needs to know about having me on their podcast. And it's got my bio, it's got topics and stories, and it's got all the basics. And then down at the bottom, it's got the link to schedule with me. Sometimes I go through their scheduling programs, but since I live in New Zealand, time zones are wonky. And so this Calendly link, you can give this to any podcaster and say, hey, schedule Caelan to go on your podcast. What I'd like you to do now, I'm going to look through these questions. And while I'm looking through it, I'm going to set another timer for 30 seconds. And I want you to write down, not in the chat box, I want you to write down somewhere else the name of at least one podcaster that you could introduce me to. Might be in your task manager. Make an introduction between Caelan and this podcaster. Great. Thanks, everyone. Excellent. Oh, you don't have to put it here, but great. Thank you. I appreciate that. I will reach out to these people. But if you'd like to do an email introduction as well, that would be awesome. But if you just want to drop their name in here in chat, that's great too. Thanks so much, because I'm looking for as many people as I can to go talk with. All right. So I saw Eric had a question in here. What was the most joyous part of your author journey? Boy, a lot of it was a drag. I'd say the most joyous part, and it was a drag, let me reframe. It was only a drag because I had to go back and recover steps that I thought I was done with. it ended up making a better product, you know, and a lot of times I used to see this in the theater a lot, that the more time you spend in rehearsal and the more you do revision, the better the work is. And so I'm glad I took 5 years to write this book. That's how long it took from start to finish. But I'd say the most joyous part was when I did NaNoWriMo in 2020. It was 2020, and the rest of the world was in lockdown and New Zealand wasn't. And my family and I took a 10-day South Island trip to figure out where we were going to live. And it was in November. And NaNoWriMo, if you don't know, is National Novel Writing Month. And I've done this a bunch of times where I write a bad first draft manuscript during November. It really helps to get the words out and build your word count when there's momentum of all these other writers who are doing the same thing. And it was I was completely rewriting the book that used to be called Sales Funnel Strategy. That was how this book started 5 years ago. And it's funny because the phrase sales funnel only appeared one time in the entire manuscript. And my editor asked me, do you want to capitalize this or not? Let's have a discussion. And I was like, you know, let's just take it out. Let's take sales funnel completely out. So the book is totally different. But I'd say the most joyous part was going on that road trip and writing in different cities. It got me back to my digital nomad roots where, you know, we'd roll into a town, we'd check out a few things, and then I would set up a laptop at a cafe and just write. And that was really joyous to be able to spend that time just in composition. It was super fun. Thank you for asking that. Okay, so we've only got 10 minutes left in our scheduled time today. And there's just a couple things I'd like to cover before we go. And one of them has to do with what you see at the end of these chapters. At the end of every chapter, there is a section that has action steps for elevating your platform. And each one of these is different. Each chapter corresponds to a workbook that I use in my business for Stellar Platforms, that I bring to the experts and entrepreneurs who work with me on elevating their platform. And what I've done is I've brought these workbooks into a package called the Cornerstone Workbooks. And you can scan this QR code because I'm a marketer and I'm a geek and I always find ways to use the geeky stuff. And you can go to the Cornerstone Workbooks. And let me just show you what it looks like in there. All right, so these are the Cornerstone Workbooks. There's 16 of them. And there's 4 for every cornerstone, 1 for every chapter in the book. And I've spent a lot of time building this over the last 6 months, and you're the first people to see it. Every cornerstone has a short 5-minute video that explains how to use the workbook. Excuse me, not every cornerstone, every workbook. Every workbook has a short video and a link to the template. It might be a Google Doc, it might be a Trello board. Each one of these is a different encapsulated lesson. And each one of these should take about an hour. Now, you don't need to do all of these. You shouldn't do all of these because as we saw earlier, some of you only need to work on one of these cornerstones, or there's 2 cornerstones you really need to pay attention to. And so I developed this as a way to implement the choose your own adventure ethos in this book, that you can scroll down and say, you know, I really need to work on my call to action. I'm going to play this 5-minute video. Caelan's going to tell me how to use the workbook, and then I'm going to click on this link and get the workbook. Every one of these videos is a playlist. And the second video in the playlist is 2 25-minute Pomodoro sessions. And if you don't know what a Pomodoro is the Italian word for tomato. And this tomato timer is a productivity tool where you set the timer for 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break, and then you set the timer for another 25 minutes. And the way that I've constructed this course is so that every one of these lessons should take you about an hour. So you can come in and say, okay, I'm going to spend an hour on my personal branding. I'll look at the personal branding checklist. Caelan's going to talk to me for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to do 2 Pomodoro sessions. And then you'll be done. So this isn't an open-ended, how long am I going to spend in here? It's about an hour per lesson. And so if you'd like to try the Cornerstone workbooks, I'm going to give you a half-off coupon since you're here on launch day. If you're watching this on the replay, this coupon's not going to be good past, I'd say, about the 15th. So if anybody wants to hop in, this will get you 50% off. Right now, it is $97 as of launch day. And so half off is going to be 40 something. I spent some time trying to figure out what LMS to use. And so if you're interested in learning management systems, I live streamed my migration of this course from Experienceify, which is an interactive LMS, down to this one-page WordPress page. And so I'll just pop a link for this in the chat box. It's one of the YouTube videos that I make. I make a bunch of YouTube videos. And so I made one describing why I pulled this entire course out of Experienceify and went to a single page, because I thought for the user, it provided a better experience. You wouldn't have to click around and figure out how to do things. Instead, you just got it all right there in one list. And so I think that the course has become stronger because of that. Any questions about anything we've covered so far? I'm going to remove my spotlight and look at you in gallery view. Great. Awesome. All right, we're going to wrap up in just a minute here, but I want to make one last offer to everybody on the launch team. And this one is going to be good beyond the launch party too. If anybody purchases 20 books because you have a team that you'd like to hand these to, you get a free 1-hour coaching session with me. And so I'll just throw this out there. If anybody would like some coaching with me and you have a team that you want to give this book to, this is a great way to do it. And the coaching can be on any of the topics I talk about marketing, about productivity, about virtual events, about hybrid team engagement. Most of you know I'm a professional virtual keynote speaker. And so I spend a lot of time on Zoom making interactive experiences. And I like to think that that's what we did today, is made an interactive experience. So if you liked this experience, go ahead and type in the chat box. I'm going to set the timer for 30 seconds one last time, and let me know, what was your favorite part about attending today? What was something you found interesting, or something that you want to use in one of your future virtual meetings? Type it in the chat box and let me know. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, the games are my favorite part too, Moran. Yeah. Wonderful. Oh, thank you for this feedback, everyone. I really appreciate it. Now, I'm going to stay on for a little while. If anybody would like to have a chat, and what I'd like to request is anybody who'd be willing to give a video testimonial for the book. I'll put you in spotlight and just ask you a couple questions, and you can just talk about the book. And so if you're willing to stay for 5 to 10 minutes to do video testimonials, then that's what I'd like to do right after the top of the hour. But if you need to skedaddle, go ahead and head off. But if you'd like to stay and chat for a while, then it would be great to spend a little bit more time with you. But if not, just make sure to spend some time on the hashtag and do some activity this weekend. Thanks so much, everyone.